going to pick every game against the spread, keep track, and see who has the potential to be a professional gambler. You're shooting for that 60%. That's what they ask for. High 50s, low 60s. That's the goal. The first game on the docket is the San Francisco 49ers, who on defense looked really good in week one, but on offense they were terrible. Heading down or up to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, who surprised a whole lot of people. Bengals are favored by -1.5 at home. What's your lean here?
That's a tough one. I mean, the Bengals kind of put out week one. They looked pretty good, to be honest with you. I am leaning to Jimmy Garoppolo, though, to win the game and take the spread as well. I think that San Francisco can come out. Jimmy G can show what he's worth. I think it'll be a close game. But, yeah, I have San Francisco just edging out Cincinnati.
I got that too. I think it's a Niners win by a one-possession win, but they're the underdog, so that's all I need for the points. Yeah, I'm not sold on Cincinnati. I know they look good in week one, but as I said in the recap video and podcast, the Seahawks are notorious for playing terrible against bad teams at home. Mm-hmm. They do it every year. It's extremely frustrating, and why a lot of people don't actually bet Seahawks games when they're huge favorites at home, because they're notorious for playing horrendous.
Yeah.
So I'm not sold on the Bengals. Their roster is terrible. I thought they were going to be terrible. I think Zach Taylor showed me a lot in week one, but I'm still not convinced. I'm certainly not convinced he's a better coach than Kyle Shanahan, and I thoroughly believe Jimmy's better than Andy Dalton. So this feels like an easy pick for me to pick them if I think they're better at coach and quarterback. Not to mention, I think the Niners defense is a lot better than Bengals. So give me the Niners plus 1.5 on the road. I feel like that one's an easy pick.
Yeah, I like that
one. Next game, the Chargers heading up to take on the Lions. The Chargers got a big win at home in their soccer stadium, and they're going on the road to take on a team that feels like they lost with a tie.
Yeah.
Where's your lean here? Are you leaning Phillip Rivers and the Chargers or Matt Stafford and the Lions? Keep in note, Hunter Henry is out for 4 to 6 weeks, so he's not playing this game. So big hole for the Chargers on offense.
This is an interesting game. I mean, I don't think Detroit's very good. To be honest, I have the Chargers winning pretty handily. So, yeah, I expect Phillip Rivers to get back to what he did last year. Of course, he has some injuries on his team, but they still have good players in. And, yeah, the Chargers winning this game.
The line on this is crazy. The Chargers are only a 2.5-point favorite. Yeah, like I get there on the road and
that's weird.
Have to go to the Eastern time zone, but 2.5 basically says that they're only 4.5 better on a neutral field, and that's assuming they give Ford Field a full 2 points, which is unlikely. So they're probably more like only. Vegas only thinks the Chargers are only 4 points better than the Lions, which is
that's really
almost feels like stealing money.
Yeah,
I think the Lions looked horrendous in week one.
Mm-hmm.
At no point was I confident in their defense. They blitzed 8 times in the entire game against a rookie quarterback. That makes no sense. That actually makes no sense.
Yeah, that's weird.
The Cardinals' offensive line is horrendous. And how are you Matt Patricia, I'm not sold on at all. Backwards hat guy. The Hunter Henry loss is huge, and I get that. And so I think the Chargers' offense is going to be a little bit worse than it should be.
Mm-hmm.
against a weak Lions defense, but at the end of the day, they're still a way better team in every way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the Chargers, injuries rack up, but that's a annual Chargers thing. I don't know why, but it seems every year they just rack up injuries to major players.
Yeah,
but
that is weird.
Yeah, give me the Chargers -2.5. That's a scary line to me. That's like a scary Vegas line because it almost seems too easy to pick the Chargers in that game. It almost,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that one almost feels too obvious.
I agree with that because it's such an obvious pick. But I mean, I think I'm in a office football pool where you pick games with the spread, and I think a lot of people will be taking that as their key game this week, worth twice as many points. A lot of pools do that, I know. So
Yeah.
That's not my key pick, but I think a lot of people will be doing that as a major pick for them.
So the next game is arguably the game of the week. It's definitely the best game in the 1:00 window, and that is the Minnesota Vikings heading to the frozen tundra. It's not quite frozen yet because it's September, but the Vikings and their now vaunted running game heading over to Green Bay to take on the Packers and their vaunted defense. Two things I didn't know if I'd ever say, but here we are after week one. And the Packers are known for their defense with Aaron Rodgers on their team, and the Vikings, despite having Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, are known for their running game. But yeah, the Packers are favored 2.5 at home. What's your lean here? Vikings, who got a huge win at home against the Falcons, or the Packers, who got a huge division win on the road?
Yeah, this game was tough. I mean, picking this game, I had to double back on it a couple times, I think. But I'm definitely going to be leaning towards Minnesota here. You look at Minnesota took on Atlanta. Atlanta's a dominant team. And, I mean, they're so strong. It's a 2.5 point spread, so that's a field goal. I mean, it could go either way, which does scare me. But they ran the ball so well. The Packers' defense is legit this year, and I think that'll be an interesting thing to see. I think Minnesota will show this week that they can throw the ball when they need to. But they also do have a guy like Dalvin Cook running the ball who's just workhorse, who just power the ball. And it's really Aaron Rodgers' game to lose, I think. It all depends on the offense, how many points they put up. But yeah, I think Minnesota takes this one.
So the things working in the Vikings' favor are Mike Zimmer is the notorious Aaron Rodgers stopper. They're heading to Green Bay early in the year, even though it's their home opener. I think if you're a dome team, you want to play in Green Bay as early as possible, just to avoid the weather, especially with Kirk Cousins, who isn't known for a strong arm. And the way their defense looked in week one, that's the underrated thing no one's talking about. However, I'm going with the Packers, and it's pretty simple. I don't believe in Kirk Cousins at all. Like at all. And it helps me in not believing in him that his coach doesn't believe in him either. Like it's pretty clear Mike Zimmer doesn't believe in Kirk Cousins either. So I feel pretty confident. I feel pretty confident in saying I don't believe in Kirk Cousins when his own head coach doesn't believe in him. So there's that. And the reality of the fact that he's not going to throw 10 balls in an NFL game again. Like that's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. Especially in a win. Like there's just no way. I don't believe it. I thoroughly believe the Packers are going to spend this entire week figuring out how to stop Dalvin Cook or neutralize him a little bit. And so if that's their main focus and we have to see Kirk Cousins throw the ball, especially with an offensive line that has been questioned for a long time, especially in pass pro, I'm leaning Packers here. The 2.5 is a little interesting with the line, but I'll take the Packers 2.5 points. This is going to be a close game though. This is not a. This is an absolute one possession game either way.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, Minnesota's defense has been quite dominant over the past few years, and I think they can still show that. I mean, they had an impressive performance week one against Atlanta, who is known to have superstar wide receivers, a great quarterback, Matt Ryan. They've been through Super Bowl before, and they're like a great team. and Minnesota showed that their defense can shut them down and their run game can put the game to bed. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens this week. I'm excited for it, but yeah, I think Minnesota wins.
So up next, I think this might be the hardest game to pick of the week. The Indianapolis Colts head to Tennessee as a 3-point underdog. Tennessee looked about as good as anybody else in week 1 against a vaunted Browns team. However, the Colts looked extremely good against a really good Chargers team on the road with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. The Colts own the Titans, at least when Andrew Luck plays. The Titans never beat Andrew Luck. I think it was 11-0 is what he retired at. It was something hilarious like that.
Yeah.
However, in the year he didn't play, they went 2-0 against Jacoby. So I guess that's a number, but this team's a lot better than that. So I hate when people throw out that number because that Colts team was so terrible 2 years ago. This is a completely different roster. Where's your lean here? Are you leaning with the correct favorite in the Titans with how good they looked week 1, or are you leaning the Colts as a road dog?
I think that the Titans are going to take this one, to be honest. The 3.5 point spread is a field goal, and a bit over, of course. But I think Tennessee's winning this game by a touchdown.
Cool.
I think they showed week 1 that they're a pretty good team, taking on Cleveland, who there's a lot of hype about. I mean, we didn't really believe the hype here, but they're still a good team. That doesn't take anything away from them. Tennessee's they dominated Cleveland that game, and I think they're going to be just as angry this game, taking on Indianapolis. Jacoby Brissett is a good quarterback. I think he can get a Indianapolis maybe a wild card spot. He's a good player, but I mean, when it comes to this game, I think Tennessee's defense showed that they can play some pretty lockdown defense when they need to, as well as Jacoby Brissett hasn't seen as much field time as Marcus Mariota at this point either. So I think it'll be a great game. I think Tennessee wins by a touchdown, but I'm excited for this game. It was a tough one to pick.
For me, I'm leaning with the Colts. I think this is a classic, amazing week 1. Titans are on a high. Come home and get punched in the mouth early and are trailing the Colts all game.
Yeah.
The question will be, I think the Colts are going to get out to an early lead, and then the question will be, can Mariota throw the ball?
Yeah.
Which I'm not a huge believer in Mariota, even though I'm a huge fan of him as a guy. I think he's a great guy, but as a quarterback throwing when everyone in the stadium knows he has to throw, I just haven't seen that in the NFL.
Yeah.
So give me the Colts as the road dog early in the season. They looked so good against the Chargers. Frank Reich's an outstanding head coach. I don't think Eric Ebron drops a touchdown again. He absolutely destroyed the Titans last year. He might have been the best player on the field, even with luck. He was that good against them last year. So yeah, give me the Colts to surprise. I think the Titans are going to end up finishing ahead of the Colts, but just the classic absolute high after winning a huge game, everyone pumping up the Titans all week because they beat the Browns, and all everyone does is talk about the Browns. So by extension, people are actually talking about the Titans for the first time in their franchise history. So give me the Colts and Jacoby Brissett to get their first win of the season on the road in Tennessee. The next game features Paul's favorite team. I tweeted you can switch to Kansas City. No one's gonna blame you. The Miami Dolphins at home against Antonio Brown, Tom Brady, and the New England Patriots. The line on this game is a hilarious 18.5. I don't know if I've ever seen an NFL line this high this early in the year.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to take Miami in the points here. 18.5 is a lot.
Yeah, but my reasoning, this one, I kind of had a tradition of going just with Miami every single week, no matter what. in my pool, but this week I'm switching it up for the first time since I've started. I'm going. This one hurts. Actually, no, we're going Miami. I'm taking Miami. I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick
You
and
just need.
Josh Rosen will be rotating in the game.
That's always what you
I
want to
think
hear.
one of them's not going to have a good start. Other one's going to come in. Doesn't matter who it is. I think Minka Fitzpatrick's going to be playing his last game as a Miami Dolphin because he did request a trade.
That's unbelievable.
And he's going to ball out. I expect a lot from Miami when they play in Miami against New England. I don't know if you saw this, but Miami's wearing their white uniforms, their white throwback uniforms, which means the New England Patriots are wearing dark blue. It's going to be like 110 degrees Fahrenheit out there and super humid in Miami, Florida. So expect the unexpected. Miami Dolphins pulling through
and losing by
this week.
And losing by 2 touchdowns and 14 instead of the full
losing by
18.
16 instead of 18. That's maybe 17 instead of 18, but I expect a lot from our team. I don't really expect much, but Brady, you never know.
I would never bet this line. 18.5 is way too much in an NFL game. I don't care how terrible the Dolphins are and how good the Patriots are. This actually might be the hardest pick of the week because 18.5 is just a stupid amount. Yeah, you're basically picking a blowout, which is borderline insane in an NFL game. That just doesn't happen. But I'm leaning New England here because it's early in the year and they're going to try and get Antonio Brown involved. He's going home from Miami, so I think he's going to look good. Patriots look so good, and the main reason I'm picking New England in this game is because their secondary is so good that I don't see a way that Miami can complete passes on this team. Like I don't know how. Their receiving core is inept. So give me the Patriots minus 18.5. That's so many points. Let's move on before we both inevitably switch because that's so many points. But the next game, this one is I'm looking at putting money on this. I can't believe this line. The Bills are heading to the Giants and are only a 1.5 point favorite.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The Giants looked almost as bad as Miami in week 1. Yeah. And are somehow only a 1.5 point favorite at home. That means they're 3.5 on a neutral side. There's no way they're only 3.5 points worse than the Bills.
Yeah, and I think along with a lot of people in my pool, this is the key game. I mean, I took Buffalo in this game. Like I said about the Giants, they were Miami with the running back. They are an embarrassing team, just like Miami.
They're horrible.
And Josh Allen really showed up last week. I don't know if you watched much of that Buffalo New York Jets game. They're playing in the same stadium, so they know it now. Josh Allen's playing a worse team. He has a easy quarterback matchup with Eli Manning, who is a bit of a fossil. And, I mean, yeah, I think that Buffalo goes in there and, I really don't think that it's going to be a close game at all. I think they're winning by at least 10 points.
I think that's a blowout game. I know I just said it's crazy in the NFL to pick a blowout, but the Bills' defense is for real. There's no way the Giants are going to be able to run on this team, and Eli can't throw the ball anymore.
Yeah, you should bet on that game.
This game, I'm terrible. Like this is the second game. It's the stupid week 2, so you can't tell if you know more than Vegas or Vegas knows more than you, which is the way they want it because they want you to throw your money away. But yeah, this is a classic scary line because it seems almost too easy to pick that. Minus 1.5. That basically means all the Bills have to do is win the game to cover. Like, That's
I don't know if we're allowed to do this live, but you can cut this out. But we should go half on a bet on that game. I'd be down.
I'm thinking about it. See, next game is Seattle heading up to Pittsburgh, over to Pittsburgh. Seattle's further north than Pittsburgh. It's definitely over.
Yes.
1 o'clock start. This is an easy pick. I don't care what anybody. I don't care how bad the Steelers looked. West Coast team on a 1 o'clock start in week 2 against the Steelers, who look terrible, and everyone's been telling the Steelers how terrible they are. Steelers are winning this game by at least a touchdown.
Yeah,
I am
the exact same thing.
I am very confident in this game, which definitely means Seattle's going to win this game because I'm way too confident in how good in Pittsburgh. But West Coast team 1 o'clock start. If I'm Seattle fans, I'm pissed that this is a 1 o'clock start. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, I would be too. I mean, that's a curse for Seattle right there. Playing against a Pittsburgh team, Heinz Field. That place is going to be loud when Russell Wilson's on the field. Russell Wilson has brand new wide receivers. In DK Metcalf as an example, who's young. He's good, but he hasn't developed into a great receiver, which I think he will eventually.
Yeah.
But playing at Heinz Field's always tough. I mean, Pittsburgh is pissed off from last week, and I think they're going to show up. Juju can show he's a true number one against that defense. And yeah, I'm excited to watch that game. I think James Conner needs to have a bit of a redemption week after a terrible week last week. And yeah, I completely agree with you. They're going to be pissed off, and they're going to be coming in there hard.
So I don't think we need to talk about the game too much more. That one seems.
Yeah, that's
West Coast team, East time zone, 1 o'clock start. Go look up the records on that. It's ridiculous. It's not a fair game. That game should be a 4 o'clock start. But yeah, there's only 2 4 o'clock games this week. Yeah, if I'm a Seattle fan, I'm mad about that.
Yeah.
There's no way that shouldn't be a Jim Nantz, Tony Romo game. But anyway, next one on the docket. This one should be quick because this line is way too small. Dallas minus 5.5 on the road in Washington.
Oh yeah, that's easy. Take Dallas all day, every day.
If Dallas is as good as we think they are, then they're winning this game by more than a touchdown. It's pretty simple. This game will tell us a lot about Dallas because if they don't win this game by at least a touchdown, then we can start to be maybe pull back a little bit on how good the Cowboys are. But they look so good against the Giants. I know the Redskins were great in the first half, but I don't see a way Case Keenum plays well against this Cowboys defense.
Yeah,
the Redskins defense is supremely underrated, but at the end of the day, Dallas knows that their schedule gets really tough. I believe starting in week 5 or 6, but their first 3 games is Giants, Redskins, Miami, I believe.
Yeah.
So they know they have to start fast to make up ground early in the year for the end when it starts to get tough and they start to have those Eagles, Saints, Bears games from winning the division last year. But yeah, give me Dallas minus 5.5.
Yeah.
Washington was the surprise. Washington might have been the surprise team of week 1, but at the end of the day, the Cowboys are definitely a full score better than the Redskins, I think, with that roster.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's big. This is a 2-horse race in the division with Dallas and Philly. They need a lead. So
this might be the most interesting game of the week. This has blowout potential.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals, another West Coast team, heading up to Baltimore, 1 o'clock start. The NFL clearly hates these West Coast teams because they're giving them horrendous start times.
Yeah, that's a tough go.
Lamar Jackson looked like Michael Vick meets Tom Brady in week 1. Kyler Murray looked like he was throwing with the wrong hand in the first 3 quarters.
Yeah.
And then in the 4th quarter, remembered he was playing against the Lions. So this game is bizarre. Cardinals are a 13-point dog on the road. What's your lean here?
This game's really interesting Watching Baltimore last week against Miami. Miami, I think, isn't too far from Arizona in terms of their teams, except for Arizona has a quarterback. But I think Lamar is going to run the ball a bit more this week, but he'll be passing again. I don't know if they win by 2 touchdowns. That's the 13 points is a tough spread. It's a lot, but I'm taking Arizona to be within a 13 points, but definitely losing by at least 7.
This is my upset of the week. I don't think the Cardinals are winning this game, but 13 points is way too many. We talked about how 18.5 is just a complete slap across the face of the Dolphins organization. 13 is the usual ridiculous line in the NFL this early in the season for a complete mismatch. But that basically means Arizona has to be one of the worst teams in the league and Baltimore has to be one of the best for that to be justified. And although I think Arizona might be one of the worst teams in the league, I don't think Baltimore is a top 5 team in the NFL. I don't. And so give me Arizona in 13 points. It's way too many.
I like it.
I think we talked about a letdown game earlier. This is with Tennessee. This one has potential. Baltimore couldn't have looked any better in week 1. Like they literally could not have looked any better.
No.
So with the Arizona Cardinals coming in, maybe they disrespect the Cardinals a little bit. But with a team that runs the ball the way they do, they don't usually blow you out. It's usually closer games.
Yeah.
So give me the Cardinals to keep it within 2 scores in that game. Next one, the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Gardner Minshew, head to Houston, Texas to take on the Texans. Texans favored -8.5. What's your lean here on the final 1:00 start game of week 2?
Yeah, I think this game's interesting. But yeah, I think it's just going to be Houston's going to be winning it. I think Lamar Jackson, we've been talking about him so much the last few days, but he's an unbelievable quarterback. I mean, he's special back there. Gardner Minshew is not Lamar Jackson. Or not Lamar Jackson, short, Deshaun Watson. I apologize for that. But I think it'll be a good game. Jacksonville does have a pretty good defense, but yeah, no, I have Houston covering the spread, winning the game by a fair amount.
Me too. We talked a little bit about how Houston has to win the Super Bowl this year with the moves they made going all in, and so this is a must-win for them. They got to beat the Jags. They just do. And even if they didn't have to win this game, I think they're the better roster. Jacksonville coming in to Houston. Houston's got the better quarterback. I think they have the better coach. I think they got the better roster. So -8.5 seems a little light, honestly, on this line, if we're being honest here. But give me the Texans to win by a couple scores. I think Minshew's going to play fine.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we talked about how 0-2 is a death sentence in the NFL. And I know Texans started 0-3 last year. Should have been 0-4 or 0-3-1 with the Colts game. But or was it? Or were they 0-4? Whatever.
I think they were 0-4 last year.
Anyway, they know they need to get off to a better start than last year, and this is the kind of game that gives them the opportunity to get back in the win column against a team that they're better than in the division. This game kind of reminds me a little bit of today's game with Tampa and Carolina. If Houston is a legit playoff team, then they're going to win this game. That's what I said about Carolina, and they didn't win the game. So we know what we need to know about Carolina now. And so, kind of like Dallas, we can learn a lot about Houston against a team that they're a lot better than.
Yeah.
Next game, this line is way too small. I just looked at this line. The Kansas City Chiefs heading to the Raiders. This game is a -7 for Kansas City. I mean, I know the Raiders look good in week 1, but damn, -7? That like.
Yeah, I like this game for Kansas City. I have them winning big over Oakland. I think last year they had a tough game in Oakland, but I think this year they're going to go in there, go up big. Patrick Mahomes is going to have another big game. I mean, like this spread's disrespecting Kansas City.
Yeah.
I think it's because of their defense, but Derek Carr showed he can throw the ball week 1. That's for sure. Josh Jacobs showed that he's a legit running back, but yeah, no, I think Kansas City wins big here.
Yeah, Jonathan Abram is, I think, out for the season with a torn labrum in his shoulder. The Raiders standout first round safety who looked like a douche in Hard Knocks, but that aside, he was fantastic with a messed up shoulder in week 1. The Raiders as a whole, I don't know if you could have asked for much more for them. I mean, every single one of their guys that they brought in played well. Trent Brown was unbelievable on the line. Terrell Williams looked like a number 1 receiver. Josh Jacobs played like LaDainian Tomlinson, apparently. Like, I don't know if you could have asked for it. Clelin Ferrell, the one pick everybody hated, got a sack and was pressuring Flacco all night. I mean, couldn't have drawn it up any better, but at the end of the day, they got the Kansas City Chiefs coming in. And the Chiefs, there's a couple games like this. The New England one is also like this, and Dallas, where they got the terrible teams in their division early in the year when they're so focused on building up that record, and they're not as much of a look-down candidate. Like, once you're 8-0 in whatever, 7-1, you go to Oakland and you kind of look over them because you've got a big playoff type game the week after. But when it's week 2, it's still early in the year. They're missing Tyreek, so they know that there's not as much room for error. So Chiefs -7 feels like an easy pick in this game.
Yeah.
Next game, maybe the most interesting game of the weekend, or at least it was supposed to be until Joe Flacco played on Monday. But some people had the Broncos as a trendy, fun playoff pick because everyone always tries to pick a random team that missed the playoffs because that always happens to make the playoffs. But Flacco was horrendous, so we'll see what he looks like. But a guy who was maybe be equally horrendous in week 1 was Mitchell Trubisky, who brings his Bears to Denver. This game is way harder to pick than everybody realizes. The Broncos in September at home are notorious for being, I think they're something like 32-2 in the last 6 years at home in September.
Like yeah.
Against the spread. Like, it's ludicrous how good they are. It doesn't even matter if the team is good. It's something about the high altitude. Vic Fangio playing against his old team, the team he was the defensive coordinator for last year. Khalil Mack playing against his old division. There's a lot of interesting storylines in this game. Bears favored -2.5 on the road. What's your lean here? Because this is a way more interesting line than I think a lot of people would give it credit for, even with how bad Denver's offense looked against the Raiders.
Yeah, I think this is a battle of the defenses all night. I think this is a really low-scoring game. I think Chicago wins this, but I think they win it by under the spread, so I'm taking Denver on this game. Like I said, battle of the defenses all night. I think kickers are going to be the big point scorers in this game.
That's what Bears fans want to hear.
I don't believe in Mitch Trubisky, so yeah, I think that Denver is the team to take, but Chicago is going to be winning the game.
We have a really similar outlook on how this game's going to look. The difference is, if this line was 3 or 3.5, I would agree with you. But because it's under a field goal, I think that's the kind of line where I can bet the Bears in this game and be okay with it.
That's fair.
Just because if it was a full field goal, then it starts to get dicey on how close this game is going to be. Just like I think we both see it, this is a classic 17-14, 20-17, one of those games. So the fact they didn't give them the full field goal is huge. So give me the Bears just because I think their defense is better than the Broncos, and I think Joe Flacco's done. Pretty simple. And so
yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
You give me those two things, and it not being a full field goal, I'm gonna lean the Bears, which is probably a bad decision since you're not supposed to bet against the Broncos at home in September. But Yeah, if you're a Broncos fan, this is when you want this game.
Yeah,
if you're gonna beat the Bears, if you're gonna beat the Bears, it's gonna be at home in September. So, yeah, give me the Bears. They have to win this game. This is another one of those 0-1 matchups where you have to win this game. And yeah, give me the Bears. Desperation. I don't believe they're gonna let themselves fall to 0-2. Similarly, we see another team who had playoff ideas. They get a Super Bowl favorite at home, though. So the NFL is doing the Atlanta Falcons no favorite by giving them the Philadelphia Eagles at home. This is the Sunday Night Football game. I mean, if you're an NFL fan, I don't know how much more you could ask for a Sunday Night Football game in Week 2 between the Eagles and the team that needs to win at home. Eagles favored by -2, which means basically Vegas thinks they're 4 points better on a neutral field. Mm-hmm. Interesting line, to say the least. What's your lean here? Eagles, Falcons. Falcons have to win this game. This might be the hardest game to pick all week.
Yeah, I think this one was really hard to pick as well for me. I think that Matt Ryan is going through his early season struggles. They looked decent. No, they didn't. Philadelphia looked good though, week 1. Not good, but they looked like they could be a Super Bowl team. So they have the roster for it. I think they win this game. I think they win it by a field goal. I'm taking Philadelphia on this one. What do you think?
Man, I have no idea where I'm leaning on this, because I had Atlanta as a 9-7, 10-6 playoff team this year, and that 0-2 start is a dagger on that. However, I have the Eagles winning. Maybe not winning. I haven't decided who I'm winning the Super Bowl. I know my Super Bowl matchup is Chiefs-Eagles. That's been my lean for basically since the Eagles started just racking up good players out of nowhere this offseason when they got D-Jax and Malik, even though Malik Jackson's out for the year. But yeah. So I love the Eagles. I'm a huge Carson Wentz guy. I might be his biggest fan. I think he's really good, and he's healthy. I keep going back and forth on this game because this is a classic Falcons win in the seasons they're good, and a classic Falcons letdown in the seasons like last year where they're bad. So it just comes down to whether or not you're a believer in the Falcons this year as a potential playoff team. And I am right now. I don't know why. I'm probably going to regret this pick because I might be the Eagles' biggest fan who's not an actual Eagles fan. But at the end of the day, I think the Falcons are a playoff team this year. I think they have all the makings of a playoff roster, and so they have to win this game. They just really do. You can't fall to 0-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just realized we missed a 4:00 start because it's my team and it doesn't come up on the schedule.
Yeah.
Quickly, let's do this. We can do this one pretty quick, I think. Yeah. Saints heading to Los Angeles to play the team that got to go to the Super Bowl last year. NFC Championship game rematch. Everyone knows why this is a big game. There's about 18 different reasons why, so I don't think we need to pump it up too much. I think it's a little disappointing this game's week 2, if we're being honest here. Yeah. I think I would have liked to see this game be later in the year when both teams are jockeying for more playoff position like it was last year, but whatever we got at week 2. Saints, a 2-point dog in the Coliseum against the Rams. What's your lean here?
I think that, we saw it last year, despite one of the worst calls in NFL history. I think the Saints are really going to want this one, of course. But I think that the Rams are going to win by a field goal. I think the Rams win this game. That one was a tough one to pick. The Saints have a stacked team, but the Rams do as well. So I'm taking the Rams as my pick. What about you?
I got the Rams as well. Too much of an emotional high from Monday Night Football. And although this game reminds me a lot of last year when the Saints went into Minnesota and kicked the crap out of the Vikings, I think the difference is the Vikings were a lot worse than they were the year before than the Rams. This year, I think the Rams are better. Cooper Kupp was amazing in week 1, and although Jared looked terrible against the Panthers, he, for whatever reason, always dominates against the Saints. He just plays. He plays really well every time.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to 3 years ago, in 2017, when that's what this game reminds me of. It's going to remind a lot of Saints fans of the Vikings game, but this game actually reminds me of the Saints-Rams game from 2 years ago in the Coliseum. Both teams were. It was the game where everyone wanted to see if the Rams were real or not, and they ended up beating the Saints in a really close one-possession game the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this game reminds me of. This is going to be a close game all the way through, but I feel like it's one of the games where the Rams are going to lead the whole way, and they'll end up winning by about somewhere under a touchdown. It's going to be a one-possession game.
I like it.
But I think the Rams are going to be ready. Home opener. They want to shut up Saints fans as much as everybody else for saying that they didn't deserve to be in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm leading Rams here. I don't feel great about it though. Like that's
fair. Yeah, no, neither do I. I would never put money on my bet right there, but yeah, no, I'm with you on it.
Last one, Monday Night Football. I think we can do this quick because the line is way too small. If for the record, if Sam was playing in this game healthy, I was going to pick the Jets.
Me too.
However, Vegas and the gods have decided to give Sam Darnold mono, and Vegas looked at that and said somehow that Cleveland is only a 6-point favorite, even though it's in New York. This is another one. We keep saying it. If you're the playoff team that we're told you are going to be, you have to win this game. If you're the Browns, you have to win this game. Plain and simple.
Yeah,
and I think
this game would have been the game of the week before Darnold went out. That's the part that sucks. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, you're good.
But I've got Cleveland winning this. Originally, like you, had the Jets, but I think that Baker Mayfield goes in there and shows the world what Cleveland can be after a tough week 1. I still don't think Cleveland's going to be the team people thought they could be, but
yeah.
I mean, Le'Veon Bell's playing, which is big for the Jets, but they still don't.
So is Trevor Siemian though. So
yeah.
I don't want to talk too much about that game because I think at the end of the day, you and I are very solid on our Browns opinion, and we don't need to say much because they have to win that game. They just have to. I don't know what else to tell everybody. But I think that's it for us in our week 2 preview show. Yep. If you stayed this long, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yep.
If you didn't, we understand. From those of us at the Second Stringers, Paul and I, have a good week, and we'll see you back probably Tuesday or Wednesday, with the week 2 recap show where we can tell you guys how our picks went out because we have everything written down. So we'll see you then.